and welcome back to Season 4 of the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people. I'm Ryan, and this month I'm joined by Caleb of the band Hey, I Love You. How are you doing, dude?
Hi, I am fantastic. I woke up like half an hour ago. So I'm still waking up. I got up and I was like, oh shit, I gotta record this podcast. So this is exactly how I look when I wake up.
Hashtag I woke up like this.
I woke up like this. How are you doing, Ryan? How's your day been so
I'm
far?
good. You know, I'm in a very similar boat. I got a little bit of coffee to energize me. We're feeling a little bit better now that we got a little bit of a nice caffeine buzz going.
Fuck yeah!
So,
what shirt are you? Is that a Castlevania?
No, this is Goalkeeper. They're a pop punk band from Pennsylvania.
That's sick. It looked like I love goalkeeper, by the way, but it looked like the Castlevania logo, and I was like,
that
"Is Ryan just
rocking
a Castlevania shirt? That's crazy."
That would be pretty rad too, honestly.
Fuck yeah!
Do you want to take a couple minutes to kind of introduce yourself and talk about the band, a little bit of history, that kind of thing?
Hell yeah! So I am Caleb. I am one of 5 members of the band Hey, I Love You. We started as like a solo project of mine in 2021, I think, is when anything Hey, I Love You came out. Maybe it's weird because I started working on it in 2020, but I think it was 2021. I don't know.
Looking it up, I saw February 2021 for the first album release, or the first single release. I can't remember if it was I think it was a single first.
I think so. Yeah, I don't know.
It's been a minute since then.
It's been a while. Yeah. And so we were rocking as just like a solo project of mine, just like a bedroom project for a little bit, and then eventually. It's crazy because like I wasn't planning on really doing like any live stuff with this band whatsoever.
Mm-hmm.
But where I'm from in Billings, every year there's like a local festival called Dry Fest that like you really want to be a part of if you're like a Montana musician. Like people come from like different states to this festival, which is crazy.
I feel like I've heard about it once before. Like it's not something that like gets talked about all the time, but like the name sounds familiar.
Right. I talk about it all the time every year because it's just like it's always such a great it's always such a great time every single year. And the organizers texted me and they're like, hey, I Love You submitted, right? And I was like, no, but that probably means that we should. So I got a live band together, and I got my best friends Trevin on guitar, Steven on bass, Sky on keys, and Connor on drums. And yeah, we've been rocking and rolling ever since. We put out a new song like a week and a half ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. We're putting out another song October 8th. I don't know when this podcast comes out, but the song might already be out.
Mm-hmm. I'm not entirely sure when this is going to come out, actually, because I'm trying to do a new thing. I'm testing it out for the last part of this year, where I do 2 episodes every other month and then 1 episode every other month. And so this is my first time doing 2 episodes in a month, like scheduled out. So I don't know exactly what that timeline's going to look like, but it should be about the middle of the month.
Okay, fuck yeah. Well, hell yeah. And then, we're coming out with our sophomore album on October 25th. We're really excited about it. We've been working on it basically ever since our first record dropped in 2022. So I know it's crazy because Lonely Ghosts, they're like, guys, you guys need to like slow down a little bit because we like to just write music that like basically we're just writing music constantly. And so like we wanted to drop something as soon as we could after LP1, and then Lonely Ghosts were like, you have to slow down a little bit.
Just keep the momentum going. Yeah.
Yeah, no. Well, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel that.
Because like we're just constantly like writing. Like Connor and I would hang out, and then we would just be like doing like totally unrelated to music. Like we'd just be hanging out, and then we'd just be like, let's write some music.
I definitely know what's up with that though, because like even if it's not for a specific project, you get this idea, and you're just like, well, I'm just gonna see it through until I can't figure out what else to do with it. Just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
And Hey, I Love You is such an eclectic project too that you can kind of find ways that any of that stuff can probably fit into do it somehow.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm glad that Lonely Ghost told us to wait, because we had like an entire record's worth of music written and like a little bit recorded, and then we were like, nah. And so we scrapped it all. And then we basically wrote an entire new record, and that's the one that's coming out. And we think it's a lot better. We think it's a lot more put together, and we feel like it's what our debut should have been. Like, we feel like this is the pinnacle of Hey, I Love You. Like, this feels like what the band should be. And we really put everything that we are into it. So we're really proud of it, and we're really excited to show the world. And I'm really excited to be here right now. Thank you so much for having me on, Ryan.
Of course. No, I'm so glad that this was able to work out. Do you have any plans for any of the stuff that you wrote that was like originally going to be the second album? Like, are you thinking like maybe dropping some singles at some point, maybe doing like an EP of like the best of that collection or anything? Or did you pretty much completely scrap it?
I hadn't thought of that, but that would be really interesting. So some of the songs from like the first record, that's now like, I guess it could be considered lost media or something. I don't know. Some parts like turned into like different. Like, we would take like, this song is really bad, but this specific idea in the song is really cool. We should keep that. And so we would take that chunk out of that song and put it into a different song that made it onto LP2.
No, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, and so like, it's a lot of like, there's a lot of like shards, I think, that like made it. So I don't know, that'd be really interesting to do, I think. But also like, I don't know. Like I said, we're like constantly writing new garbage.
Yeah, sometimes you don't always want to keep revisiting the past. You just want to keep plowing forward. Yeah, I definitely get that for sure.
But that's actually interesting too, because there's 2 songs on the record that predate Hey, I Love You.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So Sky and Connor and I were in a band called Antique Dreams in 2020.
That's such a good band name. Holy shit.
Well, thank you. We didn't do anything. We recorded like a 4-song EP, and one of the songs was called Pass the Body Dysmorphia Please, and it was like this really fast, like energetic punk song. I think I was ripping off Say Anything when I wrote it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I was like, when we were writing this record, I was like, that song is so fucking, it's like very emotional, I feel like the lyrics are, and it's like something really important to me, and something I've like struggled with for a really long time. And I was like, this like really fast, like punk energy, it just isn't really doing. Oh no, did I show the logo? I'm trying not to show the logo.
We're not isn't really doing the
song. No, we're not. It isn't really doing the song any favors. So we like slowed it down, and we tried to make it sound like the microphones type, like folky. And then there's also a song on the album. I'm not gonna. Ooh, actually, the track list is already out. Yeah, it's the 3rd song. It's called "Is Worry."
I was gonna say, I think it's on Bandcamp, right?
It is on Bandcamp. Yeah, it is on Bandcamp. And so the 3rd song, I think it is from 2019, and that one's like an old song. But of course, we like took it and like made it. We made it into like a Hey, I Love You song, because originally it was like just kind of like an average like emo song. And actually, it's crazy. The original version of Is Worry you can like find on SoundCloud. I don't know if anyone's been able to find it yet, but it's up there on SoundCloud right now, and it's really bad. Yes.
That was one that stood out to me a lot on my first couple listens, for sure.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah, I really like that one. That one's really awesome. Yeah, all these songs we're really psyched about. Yeah, hell yeah.
So how would you like describe this album in like the grander scheme of the Hey, I Love You catalog? Because like, to me, listening to it, I listened to the first EP. I can't remember the name of what that was called.
PSSUSSP. It's like a nothing name. It's like totally nothing.
So like, preparing for this, I listened to that. I listened to Psychokinetic Love Songs, and then I listened to the new album. And to me, this feels like you guys almost took the Hey, I Love You formula and went prog with it. I don't know if that makes sense, but like especially in terms of like song structures and stuff like that, it feels like it's a lot more like free flowing and progressive, like a lot more like there's a lot more twists and turns as opposed to like kind of being more straightforward like the first album was.
Hell yeah. Well, I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I think I would describe this record, I don't know, I think we were done fucking around, I think.
Okay.
Like, in a sense. Like, obviously, no matter what we do, we're gonna have fun with it. And that's like our main goal, is just to have fun and to make music that we think is fun and cool to listen to, fun and cool and not cringe. And so, yeah, we just really wanted to make something that we were really proud of, because we were proud of the debut record, which was Psychokinetic Love Songs. But I think after a year of playing those songs, we were kind of bored with them, and felt like we could write something that we enjoy a lot more, and that is just I don't know, a lot better. And so I think that was our main goal, was just to really, really take our time and make something that we would be proud of 2, 3, 4 years from now, and that we would still enjoy playing. And yeah, and so I think I think the reason why it came out so proggy is because we just wanted to make everything that we like to listen to. And so we all have very eclectic tastes in music, and so we were trying to put all of that into it, I think. And that's just what came out.
Okay.
And yeah, and I think also another reason why it's proggy is because this is the most collaborative Hey I Love You has ever been. Most of the songs were written with all 5 of us in the room, and just shooting out brainstorming ideas. Some songs were written with maybe Sky and Trevin couldn't make a practice, and so it would just be Steven, Connor, and I. Or maybe I know there's one song that was written by Connor and I in 10 minutes. When we were just screwing around. I think there was a song on there that was written by Trevin, Steven, and I. But for the most part, it was all 5 of us in a room figuring out these songs together. And so I think that's what led to it being maybe our proggy-ist yet. I don't know. I think it's our it's crazy because I think also it's also our heaviest. I think yeah. So a lot of us I got really into the Hate56 YouTube channel.
Okay.
In the last 2 years, I don't know why, but for some reason, whenever I was bored, I would just put on hardcore sets and just watch them and be like, that's so sick. I wish that would happen at Hey I Love You shows. And Steven has always really loved post-hardcore. I think Steven is I love a lot of post-hardcore too, but it's not as, oh shit, I actually showed the logo. Not as much as Steven. He's always been the resident post-hardcore guy. And so I think we really tried to put that into this record as well. That's why we called the record Hey I Loath You, is because we were this record is really heavy and really angry. So let's call it that. It's kind of a funny,
I also really
name.
Like the wordplay on that too. I think it's really, really clever, because it's it almost sounds like it's a self-titled thing, but it's not quite.
Right. Yeah, and we were going to, I think we were the plan for a few months was to name it self-titled, but I don't know. I don't know. Just to me, if you're gonna name a record self-titled, I feel it should be either your first or your last. You know? Maybe, I don't know. Or maybe if you really feel it really, really, really is your if your album is it's this is peak, then that's the self-titled, you know?
Yeah.
I don't feel this record is any of those things. Maybe it is. Maybe we're just gonna get really bad after this, and this is peak Hey I Love You. But I hope not. And then I think we're gonna call it Hey I Love You 2. There's gonna be the number 2 after Hey ILY.
Oh yeah.
Which I thought would have been cute too, but I think we settled on Hey I Loath You just because I feel that really fits the themes of the record, and just the angriness and the. But it's also fun. It's also we're not. It's obviously we're not taking it too seriously, which is never. We always want to have fun with this band. We're not really that serious. We're all just having a good time. Sometimes we have to lock in and get real businessy about it, but for the most part, we're just having a good time.
Well, that was kind of when I was talking with Super Destroyer about kind of the entire Lonely Ghost catalog. That was one of the things that he mentioned, was that a lot of artists on the Lonely Ghost label try to keep everything fun, even if it's heavy. It's you try to keep a certain danceability, a certain accessibility to it, just because he described it as being weird pop, basically. And I like that a lot, because it's it makes a lot of sense, because so many of the artists on that label are extremely approachable, but a lot of them have influences from these more heavy places, post-hardcore, new metal, whatever. Which I think is really interesting.
Yeah, it is. I mean, all of my favorite bands are really emotional, but still really upbeat music, like Johnny Foreigner or Jeff Rosenstock, Anna Monoguchi, Los Campesinos. They all write really, yeah, like really emotional, really introspective lyrics. But they, their music is just like fun and, well, I don't know. The most recent Los Campesinos record was kind of a downer. It's great, but it is like really sad. But I love it a lot. But for the most part, like it's like just like really fun and like stuff that you can mosh to. And I think that the energy behind it makes it a lot more cathartic for me personally. And so that's why like a lot of my music tends to be faster. I think at some point we're going to try and write like an EP or a record that's like slow.
Okay.
Like all the way through. Like there's a couple slow songs like I think the 10th track, Head Like a Zombie, is like, I remember when we were writing it, Trevin, he said that like he was like, this song has to be like patience testingly slow. But for the most part, it's like a really fast, in your face, explosive record, or at least we tried to make it that way.
Yeah.
So I think at some point we're gonna try and write something that's like slower, more emotional. I think that's gonna be very hard for us because I don't know. We're all a lot more comfortable like writing music that people want to like practice karate to and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just love fast music, and I love pop music too. Like that's the thing about me. Like what really makes me like a song is just like anything that I could like hook onto like really easily, whether that be like a catchy drum part or a catchy synth part. It doesn't always have to be like a vocal melody. It could be a guitar riff.
Just some sort of hook that you're like,
yeah,
oh yeah. This
hook.
is the something
Yeah,
that you can kind of snag onto a little bit.
Exactly.
No, I get that for sure.
And I think that like I have a very like melodies are just like I just love a really good melody, you know?
Oh yeah.
And so I'm constantly trying to think of like catchy melodies in my head. Like I think that's like where a lot of Hey I Love You songs stem from, is because I'll get like a melody in my head and I'll throw it down in my voice recordings and then I'll try and make a song around that.
Which I personally think that like that style of songwriting is usually going to get like the best results, at least in my experience, because like personally when I'm writing music, I always will, be fucking around on the guitar, come up with like a riff or something like that. But I feel like a lot of the time the songs that start out as like a riff kind of are very riff centric. They're not necessarily super catchy type of songs. Whereas like a lot of the time, personally, this happens to me a lot on road trips. You're driving for like 5+ hours. Your brain just has time to wander and think about random shit that you don't normally have time to do in the hustle and bustle of daily life, right? And so you like start to think differently, and you come up with like different melodies and different like ideas for stuff personally. And I feel like that's where a lot of like really, really catchy songs come from, is when you start out with the melody or the vocal line first and like kind of write top down, which again is very interesting for like more like heavy kind of music, because heavy kind of music, people think about the riff and like all that, which is great, but at the same time, like I feel like starting a song and basing it around a riff, oftentimes you just get a riff song. You don't get like a catchy song in that way.
Right. Yeah. Which I mean, like riffs can be catchy too, but it's like it's kind of interesting because if you start, I feel like your song with like your catchiest moment, like if that's like the first thing of your song, then like it can be kind of like like I don't know. Like this song is cool, but like the catchiest part and the part that I really latch onto is Over Now. And so that's also something that we try to do a lot on this album. And I think in Hey I Love You in general is that we try and make sure there's like constantly a hook going, whether it be like in the foreground or in the background too. Like maybe there's like a part where I'm singing and then like Sky's playing like a catchy melody like behind my vocals.
Sure.
Like yeah. Like if I'm like screaming or something and it's like, there's something going on behind me, or Trevin's playing a lead part that's catchy behind me too. So we try and make sure sometimes there's like many hooks going at once, which is cool too. That's something that we took from a band that we really like called Onamanaguchi, and who have like, they're like, I don't know if you've heard of them.
They're a name that I've heard, but I'm not like really familiar with their stuff.
That's fair. They're like a chiptune kind of, they're instrumental chiptune like emo adjacent band. Like I think like if they had a vocalist, they would be called emo. But like they have like so many synth lines going on at once. Like it's like actually like insane. Like there's probably like 5 different synth lines going on at once. And then sometimes they'll be like harmonized too. And so you're like, holy shit. It's like saturation overload music. But that's like my favorite kind of stuff, is like very densely layered. Like that's where like a lot of my favorite, like Lobster Fight and Your Arms Like a Cocoon and Weather Day, Glass Beach, like a lot of my favorite stuff is just like super densely packed.
Well, that's the thing. Like, Hey, I Love You is such a like maximalist project in that way most of the time as well. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's why, like, yeah. Shout out to anyone who takes on the task of mixing our band. I'm sure it is really unfun. Shout out Abe Anderson who mixed Hey, I Love You, this record. We spent like 3, maybe 4 months mixing it, which for us is a long time to be doing anything. So shout out Abe. Thank you for putting up with us. He made us sound like a real band. Shout out Chris Crummett for for mastering. We like our layers. We like our recording layers a lot.
So I'm curious because you mentioned that you had other people like mixing and mastering this project. I know that you guys are like DIY, but I know that you're also like a bigger band as well. So like when it comes to producing and like all that kind of stuff, do you tend to do more like home production, studio production, a mix of both? Because I feel like a mix of both would make sense as far as like going into a studio to do like drums or something like that, and then like doing like guitars at home or something.
Right. I think we try and do it in-house as much as humanly possible because the ethos of the band is just like do what you can with what you have.
Yeah.
Right. Like when I first started, like I was recording everything on my phone because that's just all I had access to. That's all I had the money for. That's all I still have the money for, really. But I think, like, as Hey, Love You kind of expanded, like, we kind of got, and as we kind of met more people, we got access to more things. And, like, we don't know how to make live drums sound good ourselves at all. Like Connor knows quite a bit, but like it's a lot easier to get someone else to do it. Who really knows. And so drums were recorded with our friend Phil, who lives in Basin, Montana, at Voodoo Studio. Shout out Phil. Shout out Hibernate. Shout out Voodoo Studios. And then guitars we recorded with our friend Tyson Kreider. Shout out Butt Ruckus Studios in Billings, Montana. Awesome name, I know,
yes,
right?
Fantastic.
But the thing about that is that like Phil runs everything out of his house and Tyson runs everything out of his house like as well. Mm-hmm. And it's like they're professional engineers, but they didn't go to school for it or anything like that. It's just something that they do. Mm-hmm. And so I think that like in that aspect it's still pretty DIY, I feel like.
100%.
Right. And then we did bass and vocals and synth ourselves. And yeah, at some point I really want to try going back to just doing completely everything in-house and just like figuring it out. I think that might be a fun experiment to try.
I think you definitely could, because I know that like drums, people make a big deal about like recording drums because there's so many inputs and different things and all that. But like there are ways that you can do it in a really minimal and like creative way where it sounds super cool. A lot of the time it's very stylized. It's not going to sound like that very modern like kind of drum sound where everything's close mic the entire time. But like you can do some really cool grungy type of stuff with just a couple mics, you know, one on the kick, one on the snare, like a couple overheads is, you know, you can get away with that. And I think that could be something that would be, you know, a fun experiment for sure.
My dream drum sound is Pinkerton by Weezer. I just love the way like the drums are like clipping the whole time. Like, I love it, and I want to accomplish that so bad one day. And I think Pinkerton was just like recorded by themselves, I feel like, more or less. So I think it can be done. Jax he's the drummer of Flower States and a band called Greyjoy. He has this like Yamaha drum mic. I don't remember what it's called. I think it's like called like the Yamaha GAD or something like that. It clips onto your kick, and it just like records everything into one input, which you would think would sound like shit, but it actually sounds fucking awesome. And it's like, it's just one input, so you can't like, you know, turn up the cymbal or turn down the kick or anything like that. At least I don't think you can. Maybe you can. But like that might be something that we play around with.
You can EQ it a little bit, but I think the basic idea, because that's something that a lot of engineers will do when recording drums. Anyways, they'll put a mic in that similar position. A lot of people call it a dick mic because it's pointed right at your crotch. But it's like that is a good way of getting the full sound of the kit, and a lot of the time people will just like hyper compress that that. And like, I don't know how familiar you are with like, mixing terminology and whatever, but like a lot of the time that'll be like almost your parallel compression. You just absolutely smash the hell out of that mic and then kind of like mix around it. So that's your bass. That's how everything, that's the base of the sound. And then everything else is just kind of adding a little bit of clarity and stuff like that. So like, that's definitely like a legit way to go about it for sure.
Yeah. And that's something that I think I want to play around with in the future for sure. Cause I think that this record is like what Hey I Love You is supposed to sound like. I think Abe did a really great job. Like, I think it's like, I feel like this is what full band Hey I Love You should sound like.
Yeah.
Is like, you know, you hear the drums and those are obviously real drums, and you know, it's like obviously like real guitars. I don't know what I mean by real guitars. I don't think anyone really uses fake guitars, but some people do, and they make it work really well. And it feels lively, but it also feels like digital in a way. But I definitely do want to go at some point. I want to go like even more raw and even more like noisy and screwed up sounding. I really, because a lot of my favorite bands are like. Yeah. A lot of my favorite bands are like really like just like raw. Like I really love Car Seat Headrest and just like, you know, Weather Day, as I already said, just like really raw bedroom sounding stuff. Weather Day was actually crazy because I was in a band called Reggae Card, and when the Weather Day record came out in like 2019, I think it was, that's what made us be like, oh, yo, you can make your drums sound like that? Yeah, we were like,
the mind-blown type of moment.
Yeah, literally. So that was a huge moment for me. But yeah.
So another thing that I kind of want to like go back to, because you had mentioned that this was kind of like the first project that you guys that was more written like as a group as opposed to like you bringing in most of the ideas and like that kind of stuff. That's a thing that I find very interesting about a lot of like DIY bands is most of them, it feels like a lot of them now start out as somebody's personal like recording project and then kind of snowball into being like a quote unquote real band. Right. And I think it's really interesting to pay attention to the progression of the songwriting and how it changes from when it's just the one person mostly bringing in the ideas to it being a lot more of a collaborative effort. Like I'm noticing that with I've heard a couple of the new songs that 95 Corolla are working on, and they like their first album was primarily written by Christy, and then everybody else just like did their parts on it. And I'm noticing just from like the basic demos that they've sent out, I'm like, ooh, this is a new direction. This is like something where I can tell that it was somebody else like came up with the idea type of deal. And so I think that it's a really interesting thing to follow that progression of being like a solo songwriter versus like writing as a band more.
Right. Yeah, it's really interesting. I'm sorry, I'm looking at a bug crawling around. I'm gonna kill it real quick. Die. Oh god, it's moving around a lot faster. Okay, I think it's dead. So sorry. I'm so sorry. It's so gross. I had to kill it. I was gonna let it live, and then I got a better look at it and I was like, no, that thing's dying. But yeah, it was really interesting.
Death
I think
on
like
the podcast.
I think one thing is that I kind of had to learn to share a little bit, because like having the project be like my own first starting out, I think like when we became full band and started writing for our debut record, I kept being like, oh, like I don't know, like that doesn't really sound like Hey I Love You, like I don't know, like I think I felt like I had a good idea of what Hey I Love You fans would really like because I had written the first two EPs myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to kind of learn to not be neurotic about what we were writing.
Yeah.
Which I'm sure was very annoying for my band members. And it's not like I would shoot down. It's not like I was like, I think like I wrote like maybe like 60% or maybe even like 50% of the debut record. Like it wasn't all me at all. It was a joint collaboration, maybe even 40%. I don't know. But I was still like, the headmaster of writing stuff. And I had to get out of that like mindset of being like, I know what the fans want to listen to, because in reality I don't really know that. I don't know what they want to hear. Like
I know what I want to hear.
Yeah. I know, yeah, exactly. It's like I know what I want to hear. I know what we want to make, or at least we know what we want to make. And so had to kind of get out of that headspace and just be like, we're just gonna write what I'm gonna write what I want to write. Sky's gonna write what she wants to write. Steven's gonna write what he wants to write. Trevor's gonna write what he wants to write, and we're gonna like make it all work together. So I had to kind of learn to not be so. I think like the thing is that I was just kind of like worried all the time about like I was really like, are people gonna like this,
Yeah.
Which I honestly think kind of hindered the debut record, like the writing process a little bit, is because I was so worried about it, and I don't know, I overthunk it a lot, and for this one, like I want people to listen to the album. I'm a musician, I'm an artist. I feel
of course, yeah.
Obviously, like you want people to look at your art. But I think that you have to kind of find a balance between like making something that you think people are gonna like, but then also just saying fuck it and making what you want to make in that moment. Like if you want to make like the worst thing imaginable, like if you want to like diarrhea on your hands and put it onto a painting, like fucking like do it, like maybe get some psychiatric help, but also do it. And so and I think that's like what made this album so great, is that we really just said like fuck it, we're just gonna make something that we want to we really want to make. And I think like that helped when I was like, we want to make something that we want to play like 4 or 5 years down the road and still feel really good about it. I think that's what made it that way, is just like we were just making something that we really wanted to make this time, instead of being worried about I was also like really obsessed with concept albums when we made the debut record.
Okay.
So I remember we had like 4 songs written, and so like I put the 4 songs in a hypothetical track list, and then I was like, now we have to write a song that sounds like this in order to get from this song
to bridge
to
the
this
gaps.
song.
Yeah.
And
okay,
so,
I get you.
Which was kind of interesting. But for this one, we just wrote songs. And there wasn't, I think just there kind of ended up being like an overarching theme, just because I feel like if you're writing a record and like it's coming from like one mind, or like 5 similar minds that think alike, it's going to be conceptual, and the themes are going to line up either way, because like that's how brains work. I feel like
well, and like, that's the thing about art too, is like it's always a reflection of your mental space and where you are,
right.
like at the time of making it. And so like I almost feel like projects are generally like capturing a moment in time. And so whether that's like an EP, an album, whatever, is that this is, I mean, it's almost the same as, you think about like a photo album or something like that, right? And like a photo album is going to be like, oh, this was the year of, whatever, 2004. And, and it's like, oh yeah, this is what we were doing that year. And so it's almost like the same thing of like, it's documenting the headspace, the mental space of where you are in your art in some way. And so like, I feel like naturally a lot of the time you get to the point of almost being conceptual, just because you're living your life and you're writing about your lived experience,
Yes, exactly. Yeah, and this song was written like this album was written like, like I said, like over like a 2-year period. And so like obviously a lot of life happens in 2 years. Like a lot of
100%.
Like you experience a lot of things. But I think the things that really stuck out to me enough to write songs about ended up being like I remember like I was recording vocals, like in my basement. We were recording vocals, and I was looking through the lyrics, and I was like, "Damn, a lot of these songs are like about the same thing. Like, it's actually kind of crazy." And that thing ended up being like anger. Like, I think I was experiencing a lot of things that were just pissing me off. And I think that's kind of like what this record is. It's kind of like an exercise of that anger, like exorcism type thing. And it's like I had to get this anger out of me, because I don't think I'm an angry person. I don't know. I try and not be an angry person, but I think like
I've never
there's
gotten
a lot of shit
from you.
Well, I appreciate that, but I think that like during the writing of these songs, like there's a lot of things that were just like getting on my nerves, and I think I was becoming very irritable, and so I think like this is what we needed to write these songs in order to express that anger and that frustration and that anxiety. And actually, like, it's actually crazy too, because like I remember like when I was recording, when we were recording vocals, I keep saying but I did not record vocals myself. I can't do that. If we tried that, we tried me doing vocals by myself.
Like
all the
engineering it yourself.
No, like recording them like on my own, and then like
okay.
all the takes were like really really bad. So I found out that I needed to have at least someone there to tell me like that was good or that was bad or keep doing or do that again or tried this instead.
No,
so when we were doing that, like but when we were doing that, like I was like looking through my lyrics and I was like, holy shit, did I write that? Like that's crazy. Like I obviously did not feel that strongly about that anymore. But yeah, I think it just, you know, sometimes you gotta like hunker down and get pissed off. And I don't know. It's a really angry record. The single that we're coming out with in a week is actually like I think like the angriest song that we have like ever written. Like a lot of the things that I say in it are like really like nasty. I'm like, oh, whoa. But you know what? That's how I was feeling at the time, and like, yeah, you know, that's how these people made me feel. You know, like they made me feel small, and they pissed me off. So the lesson is don't piss me off, otherwise you'll end up in a "Hey, I Love You" song.
Or maybe do piss you off if you want to end up in a "Hey, I Love You" song.
if you want to end up in a "Hey, I Love You" song, then piss me off. Which, to be fair, like I feel like you have to really mess up to make me mad. I don't know. Like I'm a really passive dude. Like I'm not good at letting things go. Otherwise, I wouldn't be writing songs about them. But I am good about like pushing them to the back of my mind. You know?
Oh, sure.
I feel like you have to really, really continuously like, you know,
keep
like
poking
in
the
order
bear.
to make me mad.
Yeah. No, I get you for sure.
Even then, like I'm not gonna do anything about it. I'm just gonna write a song. Like, but yeah, that's like the only way that I feel like I can express like emotions like that is like writing music, because I have a hard time like talking about my feelings because I'm a guy. It just happens. No, I'm just kidding. It's not a guy thing. It's just I don't know. But like, and so music is like the best way I think for me to express my music or express my feelings. I think art is just really like one of the greatest ways to express yourself, no matter like what emotion that be, whether that be like happiness, anger, sadness.
It's a great outlet for sure, and it's
an awesome outlet.
Often wonder like people who don't really pursue any arts at all.
Yes!
I'm like, what is the thing that you do that like does that same thing for you?
Because it's like, kind of scary, right?
Like I get like, you know, some people are like, oh, you know, I get angry and so I play like you know, violent video games or whatever, and it's like I'm into that. I get that too, but it's like I feel like I don't know. It's less personal. It's less processing type.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, it's like because I'm just like, how do people deal with like negative emotions if they're not like creating something? You know, like that thought kind of freaks me out. I'm like, sometimes people will like come into Papa Murphy's where I work, and they'll be like really angry and like, you know, yada yada. They'll like take it out on us. You know, they'll take it out on like,
that's what they do. They take it out on customer service workers.
I know. It's like I'm just like, dang, dude, you should really like pick up a guitar or something, you know, or like, you know, pick up a pencil. Yeah, it's a weird thought that I have sometimes. It's just like, how do these people do that? How do they go? Because I feel like I could not live life if I wasn't expressing myself through this outlet of art. In some way, like, even if it's not music, like even if I'm doing even if I'm drawing or even if I'm working on like a video or something, you know, it's still like some kind of expression,
some kind of creative outlet. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I'm just like, how would I be functioning right now? And I probably wouldn't be. I'd probably would be like a lunatic. Which, you know, I am, but like I'd probably be a lot
different.
A lot. Yeah. But yeah.
So I think that we're kind of getting to a natural conclusion of this part of the episode. Is there anything specifically that you wanted to hit on about the new project or the band that I might have missed before we move on to the next part of the episode?
I don't know. I think I hit on I think I talked about everyone who worked on the album with us. I talked about the band. Shout out Lonely Ghost Records, who is, you know, Hey, I Love You's label. They're the ones putting out this. Sorry, I stepped on Jax's hi-hat behind me. I don't know if you could hear that. Also, I've been burping. I'm really sorry. It's really gross. I don't know if you've been able to hear it, but this coffee is making me... Okay, you'll probably be able to hear it in my voice recording, and I apologize, everyone. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
I always cut those out.
Oh, okay, awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, shout out Lonely Ghost Records, who are putting out this album. They've been with Hey I Love You not since day one, but it feels like it's been since day one. They were the ones who put out Internet Breath, and they've been great. Shout out Lonely Ghost Records. Shout out all the bands on Lonely Ghost Records. Shout out Fresh Finds Podcast. Oh wait, I want to do the Discord thing. I wonder if they'll do it again if I clap. It's not going to do it again.
Nope,
That's crazy.
not.
I think I'm ready to move on if you are.
Oh, I thought of one more thing.
Yeah.
Thing. Did you announce any plans for physicals for this project?
Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that. Yesterday, John and Shane of Lonely Ghost Records and I, we were all like, oh shit, we don't have any like physicals planned yet. So yesterday we were scrambling, trying to get all the information we needed out for cassette tapes. There are going to be cassettes, vinyls, and t-shirts.
Eventually,
yes. I think cassettes are going to be, hopefully, they're going to come out with the album. I think you'll be able to order them as not a pre-order.
The turnaround for that is a lot faster than like vinyl. So
vinyl for sure is going to be a pre-order. And I think shirts are going to be pre-order as well. But yeah, I'm not sure if you've seen the album cover yet. Okay, sick. I was having such a hard time yesterday picking the vinyl colors. Like I was like, I don't want it to be black, but like what color am I supposed to do that goes with this album? I feel like I had a lot of options, but also none. You know?
I feel like yellow and pink splatter or something like that would almost be interesting.
I ended up going with blue because all of the yellows, I really wanted to go with a yellow, but like all the yellows just looked like piss. And like it literally looked like piss.
There is a lot of blue accent in it for sure.
There is a lot of blue accent.
Yeah.
There is a lot of on that album cover, which is perfect.
It's like a Where's Waldo fucking
right. Shout out Haley_Ham24 on Instagram. She did the album cover, and it's perfect. Like we were really struggling with what we wanted the face of this album to be, and I think that like when I was just like scrolling through Instagram Reels, and she popped up on my Instagram Reels, and I was like, holy shit! Like this is like. This would be perfect for Hey, nice. I Love You. So shout out to Haley. She did an incredible job. She did that album cover in like a week.
Wow.
I know, right? Which is crazy. So thank you so much, Haley, for creating the face of this album. She did such an incredible job. I'm really happy with how the album cover looks. It's hanging up on the official album art is like hanging up on my wall. And every day I wake up and I look. It's sick. And every day I wake up and I look at it and I'm just like, hell yeah. Like it's great. It's great. It feels weird. I try not to be too prideful about my music. And I try and be really humble about it. And it's weird because like that album cover is like attached to something that I did. But it's such a cool album cover. Like it's so cool. I can't even lie.
It's one of those things. I think it'll be really cool when the vinyl release does come out. I always love looking at these very intricate, detailed things on like a vinyl cover because it's so much bigger. You can see all the detail.
Yeah.
Like for example, a great example was the last Pulses record that came out a year ago. It wasn't supposed to be like this. Has so many small little details in the album artwork that I never noticed until I got it on vinyl and looked at it, and I'm like, holy shit, there's so many different like small little references and stuff. And you know, when you're looking at it in the like 1 inch by 1 inch little square on like Spotify or whatever streaming service you use, you're not gonna pick up on all of that. You're just like, oh yeah, I know that's what that album is. But you look at it like way bigger and you're like, oh, the amount of detail is really cool.
That's what happened when I got the actual like album art shipped to me. When I opened it, I was like, holy shit. And it's crazy because like a lot of the layers that are on the album cover are like literal physical layers. Like, it's kind of crazy, if that makes sense.
So this is actually a physical collage that you have the...
Yeah.
That's actually really rad.
And it's crazy, too, because, like, she, like, did, like, the background, and then she would do, like, the first layer, and then she would do, like, the second layer, and then the third layer. And so, like, a lot of the stuff, like, is being covered up by, like, other things, too. Like, it's really in-depth. Like, I was like, what the fuck? Like, it's kind of crazy. It's super sick. And, like, the Hey I Love You, like, the band name is, like, its own, like, final topping layer that, like, puts, like, a shadow over everything. And it's so good. It's so good. I'm really happy with it. It's super cool. But now I'm, like, you know, for future Halo releases, I'm like, oh, no, how are we going to top that? Like, this might be peak art. I don't know. Haley did an incredible job. She is really great at what she does. And I think everyone involved in the record did an incredible job. And I'm just really stoked that I got to be a part of it and that I got to be a part of making this album that I'm really proud of. Yeah.
All right. Hell yeah. So moving on to the next part of the episode here, we're going to go back and forth and listen to some tunes and talk about them. Some new underground, sometimes not so new, because I know that you've got a couple that are like, as far as like independent stuff goes, kind of a throwback at this point.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's just the way things go. I'm going to start out with the first song. We're going to go back and forth, so you're going to have the closing track here. So the first one that I have is currently unreleased, but it actually comes out, I believe, this Thursday, October 3rd. This is from the Brown Maple and St. Judas split. Which is called Songs About Cats and Starting Over.
Hell yeah. That's such an awesome title.
It's really good. So this is a split between Brown Maple, that's who this song is by. They are from, I believe, Toledo, Ohio, and they are signed to Kleptophase Records.
Shout out Equipment.
This project is getting a joint tape release via Kleptophase Records and Reply Guy Records, doing two different variants of the tapes. So this song is called Why Do All My Friends Like Malort?
That was kind of Riff City, I'm not gonna lie. Like,
dude,
it was one of those songs with like hella riffs. That was Riff City. That was like hella sick.
Dude, it's so good. And
yeah.
I feel like immediately hearing this, I'm like, I can't wait to experience this song live, because I feel like, especially that chorus is going to go so hard. You could like probably do some sort of like audience participation thing with it too, like getting people to sing along.
Yeah, like in the pauses,
so like
when the
yeah,
that was hella sick. Yeah, that was my first experience to Brown Maple, and now I'm going to listen to more of them after this, because that was so fucking awesome.
They are fantastic.
Hell yeah. I'm excited to hear that split when it comes out. Like St. Judas, obviously, great fucking songwriting. And that was Brown Maple, great songwriting. This is gonna be a really strong split. I feel it. That was so sick. Shout out Brown Maple.
I think that this is gonna be like an instant classic for them. Like I feel like this is gonna be one that's gonna come out and everybody's just gonna be like so stoked on it.
Yeah, I agree.
They released their last EP at the beginning of this year, in March. It's called I'll Get Around to It. And that is a fantastic record if you're like looking to get into their stuff. They have a couple of other EPs and singles from before that, but I think that that is kind of like right now the best spot to jump into their music. They've got a single called Maple, but it's just MPL. In all caps. And I think that like outside of this split is probably like the best song to kind of like introduce you to the rest of their stuff. But they are absolutely phenomenal. I got to see them with Cinema Stare a couple months ago, which was a fantastic show. Some of the nicest people I've ever met. And that was actually how I found out about the split, was I was talking with them at like the merch table, and they're like, yeah, so we got this thing coming up.
So sick. Hell yeah. Oh, that was awesome. That was like, okay. I'm not I said this earlier before recording, but like I have a hard time waking up recently because I've been closing at Paul Murphy's. And so I get home and I stay up super late and then I have trouble waking up, which usually I'm a morning guy. But like that song like has me amped to start my day. Like I have to go work my shift after this, but like I'm gonna listen to that song on the bus ride there, and I'm gonna be like I'm gonna be ready. That was awesome.
Fucking Brown Maple, baby. That'll get that in your veins. In your veins.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm gonna be like listening to that on the bus, like,
let's fucking do this shit.
Yeah, that was fucking awesome. I really did like that.
All right, so what do we have up next? What's gonna be your first tune?
My first song is I believe it's Rojan. I believe that's how you pronounce that name. Rojan Does Advice Now, which is a song by a band called Johnny Foreigner. Johnny Foreigner is a band, I believe, from Birmingham that I've been a fan of for a while now. I was more of like a passing fan. Like I really liked their big hits,
but never really delved super deep into the catalog.
Yes, exactly. But for some reason, like this last year, especially, like I've just been like something clicked for me, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is like the best band in the world."
I've definitely felt that before.
And so, like, I've been just such a huge fan. And in June, they started teasing new music, and I was like, "What?" Like, that's like best case scenario when you get like really into a band, and then like
they
out
have
of
a new
nowhere,
project coming out,
because like they hadn't put out new music in like a really long time. I think their last album was in like 2016. So like, you know, they weren't putting out music for. And then like the year that I got into them, they just happened to be like putting out new music. I was like, yo! And so they've been really influential for me, like writing new music,
like the stuff that's gonna come out after this next project.
After this album, it's gonna sound a lot like Johnny Foreigner. And I'm really excited for you to. Have you ever heard of Johnny Foreigner?
No, I've never heard of them before.
Oh, I'm so excited for you to hear this. This is the first song on their new album. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, this is gonna be a great record, and it is a fantastic record.
Hell yeah, I can't wait. Let's go. Let's get into it.
That's why I call up machine like everything hurts. Yeah, I swear that I am cursed. Once as traumatic and twice as pathetic. I know. Spill me a secret. It smells of defeat. Show me how you found the space. Did you climb up a mountain or some shit? Wait. Come on. Seek out the peaks so the signals don't reach. magic. The dramatic with the universe, the framework. Chaos and consequence. Watching the water break. Come on. Sound out the bay where the wind whips the spray. Come on. There's nothing you'll solve in a day. And Rashid's like, go be single. Stop trying to find yourself in other people. How I dream of something perfect. I'm just not sure I deserve it. She's like, that makes it worth it. Like magic. She's like, go be single. Stop trying to find yourself in other people. So I lost myself in music. I mean, down the gods with magic. Where she's like, well, it works and works, but lately he's been such a jerk. So I get it when it hurts. Goddamn hurts.
The flow of that song is so crazy. Like I love how it goes from like these like a couple really kind of ridiculously heavy little riffs, but then it's also got like these like almost cute light sections. Like the way that it goes back and forth between those is super fun.
There's such like a stop and start kind of band, you know? It's fucking awesome. Like just when you think you've walked into like this is like the mosh part, then they drop it down for a second, and you're like, and then like go back into it. And their guitar interplay is insane. Like I don't know how they do it. Like I don't know if it comes through on Discord. Like they do a lot of like panned stuff where like one guitar will hit one note and then stop, and then while the guitar is stopped, the other guitar on the right side will hit a note, and it's crazy. Like it'll be like dur, 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 dur. You know,
absolutely
it's nuts.
love
It's awesome.
that kind of stuff where you like kind of like interplay with like the different sides of the guitars and stuff like that. There's especially when it's I don't know. There's a way that you can do it where it almost like it tickles my brain in a very specific way. There's a great Michigan band called Potion Cellar. I don't know if you're familiar with them.
I am not. That's an awesome name though.
They dropped an EP this year. I can't remember exactly what the EP is called, but the last song on it is called Natty Ice. And there's this thing where the guitars are panned left and right, and in the second verse, I think it is, there's like they hit accents sometimes on different notes and sometimes on the same note, and so it's like the accent kind of bounces around the stereo field in a very interesting way, and I absolutely love it.
That's so sick. That's something that Johnny Foreigner does a lot, and they also do that a lot with like vocal melodies too. Like there's a lot of like call and response type vocal melodies. Because I believe their drummer and then their bassist and then like their front person, like they all share like a lot of very equal vocal duties, and so like that's something I really want to play with a lot, because like everyone in Hey I Love You sings basically. So something I want to play with a lot in the future, and we have been playing a lot with, is like I'll be singing a song, like I'll be singing like my part, Sky's part will come in and it'll kind of like overlap a little bit, you know, and then she'll be like off singing her own thing, like, and that's something that Johnny Foreigner does a lot, and it's so awesome. And I'm just like, their music is very great. The type of call and response
that they did in this, it's very like amusing to me because it's like they got the lyrics and then like the singing, and then the rest of the band chimes in almost as if they're like talking to the person that's singing like in real time. Like it feels musical theater in a way almost, but it's like I don't I'm not a huge fan of a lot of like musical theater type music, but I don't get the same kind of like cringe factor, I guess, that I would get if it were done in like a musical theater context. I'm just like, this is a fun way to do it. Like it sounds like you're in a room with your friends playing a song and they're like, you know, fucking with you, interjecting while you're doing your thing. I think it's really fun.
It's so awesome. The next song on the album, like they actually do this thing at the very end where they reference Blink-182.
Okay.
And the bassist goes, "That's about the time I walked away from him." And then like the guitarist singer goes, "Get it?" And the bassist goes, "I get it." Like it's like rhythmic and like it's like pan. It's so cute and so it's so much fun. I really like it. I like it a lot. Yeah, they do a lot of really fun stuff. Just fun and catchy and like that's another band that's like they're like Hook City, like that like that guitar riff behind like the come on, like it's awesome. I love that band. That's a great band. That's a great song. Great record. Everyone check it out.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's sick. So my next song is one that got directly submitted to me in my email. Ooh. If you are listening to this and you want to submit some of your music for me to check out, freshfindspod@gmail.com. This song is by a band called Cat and the Hurricane, and they are an all queer / trans like indie pop trio from Wisconsin. So they do a lot of like very poppy type of like, but it's also kind of like indie rock inspired as well.
Hell yeah.
They have their debut full-length album coming out as of recording this Friday, October 4th, which is called Got It Out. This is the final single that they released before the album drops, and it's called Smoke.
Fire, then why do I see smoke all the time?
Oh,
That
yeah,
was
baby.
great. Holy crap.
Dude,
that was
right?
awesome. I feel like that sounds like kind of like more recent Paramore type stuff. I don't know.
A little bit, yeah. I
Yeah,
was kind of thinking like a little bit of like throwback to like mid 2010s, like kind of pop rock type stuff a little bit too. Yeah, where it's got like, it's very clearly like rock influence type stuff, but it's kind of like this like indie pop type thing. It's got really punchy production, fantastic bass playing. That's like one of my favorite parts of this song.
Point out was
is the bass is just absolutely grooving the whole time,
and the tone is perfect. Like, wow,
it really is. It's nice
like
and thumpy,
when
but
they got
it's
to the
still
chorus,
articulate.
yeah, when they got to the chorus and like the you got the 16th note hi-hat work going on, I was like, oh, this is so sick. That one is a real fun, like it feels like a fun dancey song, but without being like you have to dance, you know. It's like a nice little chill dancey tune, you know. Like that was awesome.
It's a song you can groove to, or it's a song that you can like move a bit more to if you want, you know. It's kind of does both.
Yeah, that was awesome. And like the vocal melodies were fantastic. So good.
It's so catchy. You can hear it once and just be like, so why do I still smoke all the time?
Yeah, if that was
you're like, it's immediately so catchy.
If that came out in like early 2010s, that would be on the radio. Like,
100%.
That would definitely be on the radio. That was, who did you say that was?
This is a band called Cat in the Hurricane. They're from Madison, Wisconsin.
Oh, they're from Wisconsin? That's so sick.
Yes,
Hell
sir.
Yeah. Hell yeah. That's sweet. I needed to check more of them out because that was also fantastic.
Well, like I said, new album dropping this Friday, so you won't have to wait very long for the full project.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, that was awesome.
The other thing that I really like is for a 4-minute song, this does the most with its song structure.
That was
for only being 4 minutes.
That didn't feel like 4 minutes. That was awesome.
That's the crazy thing, is it both feels really short. It feels short and catchy, but at the same time, it hits a lot of different beats. Because there's the intro, there's several verses, there's kind of like that instrumental section, there's the chorus, and the thing that I love about the chorus too is it's almost got like 2 sections. They're basically like the same, quote unquote, but like the way that it like kind of drops down a little bit at the end of like the first half of the chorus and then comes back with the hook again.
Yeah.
Like there's something about that dynamic arrangement that I absolutely adore. Like just dropping that out a little bit, coming right back with it. I think it's so smart, so catchy.
That was really awesome. Thank you for playing that. That was so sick.
Yes, absolutely. So what do we have up next?
I believe I picked Revive by a band called Crying. This is not a recent release. I think this came out in 2016. I don't know for sure.
Yes.
Oh my God. I'm a God genius. But this is a band that I latched onto, I think, in like 2018, I want to say. And it's like one of those bands where like when you find them, you're like, where has this been my entire life? This was a huge inspiration for Hey, I Love You, this band. Yeah, I don't know why I picked this. This album has just been like on repeat for me since I got to the Twin Cities. There's actually a funny story about this song specifically. I was trying to figure out, because I'm from Montana, where there's no really good public transportation. Like, we have a bus system. It's not that great. You don't really want to rely on it. To the Twin Cities, where like, you know, everyone rides the bus. And so I was trying to figure out how the transportation system worked. And I had to get off one bus and go onto another. And I was waiting at the bus stop for the next bus. Everyone gets on and I'm like, is this the right bus for me? And I was like, no, I'm going to wait here. And so I wait for like a minute and I'm like, that actually was the right bus. And so like,
oh shit, I missed it.
And so I had to like run to like catch up to it. And I was like dropped off in this part of, I think I was still in St. Paul at this point. I was dropped off by the first bus into this part of downtown St. Paul. And it was like really nice. I'd never been there before. I've never been anywhere in this town. I don't know where the fuck I am.
Okay.
And so like, I'm like in this really nice like shopping district. Like everyone is walking around in like with like bags full of stuff, and everyone is dressed like really nice. And I'm dressed in like my Papa Murphy's like jeans and black band shirt, and I'm like running to catch up to this bus. And I was like, where the fuck am I? And all I knew, I didn't know where I was.
I don't belong here.
Yeah, I know, literally. And all I knew was I just had to catch up to that bus. And it got to the point where I had to quickly, you know, like those scooters that you can like pay to ride. I had to get one of those so I could like, and I was going so fucking fast on the scooter to catch up to the bus, and I was doing all that while this song was playing. So while this song is playing, keep that in mind. Imagine me like an anime protagonist trying to catch up to the bus because I'm late. It was crazy. I was like, people were just like walking, and I was like, and it was like insane. It was nuts.
All right, so action chase scene music right here.
Yes,
right,
exactly, exactly.
That is incredible. Oh my god.
That song is fucking awesome. Crying, they're a 3-piece. I have no idea where they're from. I think Canada. I could be really wrong about that. I don't know why that specifically sticks out in my brain that they're from Canada. And before this record, they were like a heavy.
They are from New York.
New York. I don't know why the fuck I said Canada. But before this album, they were like a chiptune band, like hella chiptune.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but like for this record, they took on like more of like a 80s synth kind of approach. Like I feel like that you can kind of hear like the 80s glam rock kind of influence in that song.
The first chords, I was immediately like crazy stadium rock type of shit.
Exactly. Yeah, and it's that whole record is like they're like doing like Guitar Hero type shit. It's really sick. They're a really incredible band. Yeah, I love that song very specific. Like that song, if I need to get amped for something, that's usually like my go-to. Like I'm always like, fuck yeah! Like, yeah.
It really does also kind of have that like anime music type of like aesthetic a little bit too. So when you were like, oh yeah, just imagine me chasing the bus like I'm in like an anime or something like that. I was immediately, I'm like, that's a funny visual. And then like I listened to it, I'm like, holy shit! All right, actually this makes so much sense.
Right? Yeah, exactly. I kind of felt like a badass when I finally caught up to the bus, because I caught up to the bus like at the very tail end of the song, and I was like, it felt like triumphant. Like I felt like a god. It was so sick. But yeah, great band, Crying. If you love synth, you gotta check out that band, because their synth work is insane. Their drums are crazy. Their guitarist is actually so goated, and their front person, it's actually crazy because like the band is so in your face except for the vocals. Like the vocals are very like, there's energy behind them, but it's not as in your face as like every other aspect of the record. Like the vocals are kind of like,
they're subdued a little bit.
They're subdued a little bit.
They're not like on top of like, it's a very pop style like vocal production.
Right.
But like I think often with that style of vocal production, it kind of sits like on top of the music a little bit more. This feels a lot more like it's like inside, like it's a member of the band. That's kind of like how I think about like mixing vocals, is either it can be like you're a member of the band, or there's the band and then there's the vocalist. And so like this definitely feels like they're part of the band and like as a unit, you know what I mean?
Which I think works perfectly, because I feel like if they were like, you know, like really eccentric with the vocals and like really out there, you'd be like, oh, this is like too much. But I think like that's like perfect for Crying. Yeah, it's a great band, and like a lot of their songs are like very fantastical too, like lyrically. Like they have songs about like their front person finding like a white marble that's like magic and transforming them into like a creature. It's all their songs are really fun and awesome like that.
That's where I had heard of them before, because I recognized the name.
Yeah,
and you had mentioned that before this they were really like chiptune type of stuff.
Right.
And I was like, God, I recognize this name, but I can't really like think of anything. We actually featured one of their like more chiptune type songs from their 2014 album on an episode with the band Ghost Town Remedy from Nashville a couple years back. So this is actually the second time that they've been featured on the podcast. But
that's awesome.
We're a lot bigger now, so maybe we'll get their attention this time around.
Hell yeah, yeah, they're a great band. It's actually funny that like, because I think there are definitely two different eras of Crying. Like they're chiptune, and then they're like you know, Guitar Hero eras, you know, and so it's funny that you got both sides on the podcast.
A little bit of both, yeah.
Yeah,
no, I think that's awesome.
Sick. Fuck yeah. Yeah, great band. Everyone check them out. Shout out Crying.
All right, so my next song that I'm going to play is by a band called New Ghost. They are a band that I found, I think just through like an Instagram or Twitter post or something like that. So somebody was talking about like new releases to check out. And they released their new album, which is called A Dagger in Every Tide, with great album name.
That is so sick.
Off the bat, like it's so like anime, like fucking like I don't know. There's something so like big and grandiose about it. Anyway, this album came out on September 6th. Ooh. And I've been really into it. They're kind of like this synth pop shoegaze type of band. So it's going to be a lot slower than the last stuff we listened to. We're going to slow it down a little bit.
Hell yeah.
But they're from Sheffield, UK. This is Dream Song by New Ghost.
That was sick. Whoa.
Dude, right?
That was another bass, like really great bass song too.
100%. The bass is fantastic. Again, amazing tone, great little like just runs and stuff like that. A lot less showy than some of the last ones because it's just like a much slower song.
Right.
But it's still like, it's kind of got that like almost counter melody thing in like some of the fills that it does, that it's very melodic.
Yeah, I noticed like at the very beginning before the first chorus hit, like everything was kind of like repeating a little bit. Like they had that synth melody that was like do 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 do, like kind of like repeating.
Yeah.
But the bass was like kind of carrying it a little bit, you know? Like the bass was like the one doing different stuff and doing like kind of like melodies that weren't really repeating that much. Like that was really sick. And then like when the first chorus hit, I was like, whoa, because like it got bigger and heavier, but the vocals got like breathier and like, you know, like
yeah, it's almost like softer, and like I really like the way that they do their vocals because they're very like understated, but also like extremely beautiful in like the way that they're done. Like they have incredible vocal talent, but they don't like bring a lot of attention to it. You know what I mean?
Right. I also really I love this in song structure when there's like, the choruses, but then like the outro is like kind of like its own separate chorus, but it's like way stripped back, you know, and it's kind of like the song is like falling apart a little bit. Like that's the thing that I think Cursive does a lot really well. Mm-hmm. And that song was like that ending was so sick, and they had that like weird like guitar sound that was like really distorted, and like that was really
and like
sick.
The little glitchy edits and stuff like that too.
And like
that's one of the things that I really love about this project as well is it's understated maximalism.
Yes.
In a way, because it's like there's so many different layers going on, there's so much, but at the same time it's very easy to listen to. It's something that like I think that this works best as a full album. Like I had trouble just picking one song because the way that like the entire record flows, it feels wrong to pull one out of the context of the whole project.
Yeah.
So I highly recommend, if you like that, listening to the whole thing. It's about an hour. It's a pretty long album as far as like this type of stuff goes, but I think that like it's so hypnotic and enveloping that like it's such a cool listen.
Yeah, that was really sick. That was really good. Oh my god. And like the part before the second chorus too, where they were like bang, 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 bang. That was really dope. That was so sick.
Yeah, because they really get into that like wall of noise, like shoegaze type of thing, and just like hammering that one note, and it's like it builds up this tension, and then there's kind of like the release once you get to the chorus.
Right.
And I think it's absolutely brilliant the way that it's done.
Yeah, that was so sick. That was really cool. Thank you so much for playing it. That was awesome.
Yes. All right, what do we have up next?
I believe I picked Heart to Gold. Is that correct?
We can do that one.
Which one did I say was going to be next?
I had Fend up next.
Yes, let's do Fend.
Okay, all right.
This is which one did I say? See, the problem with this one is that like I had like so many Fend songs that I wanted to pick.
Secret Evil.
Okay, sick. Fend is Minneapolis homies. They're a super group of sorts. They are made up from members of Father Melissa, Keep for Cheap, Early Eyes. So they're made up of a bunch of different bands. I think I'm forgetting one. Abe Anderson on drums. Abe Anderson is a great homie to the band. They're all homies, but Abe Anderson he has been a great friend of ours for like a long time, and he plays drums in this band. And I saw them live for the first time a few nights ago. They were absolutely magnificent, and it's weird because like the songwriting is incredible. Like you're never really they don't groove very long for one time. Like they'll like groove for a little bit, and you'll be like getting really into it, and then they'll be like, just kidding, we're going into this next part now, and you're like, whoa, what's happening? So yeah, fucking great band. Shout out Disc. They came out with this record, I think this year. I think a few months ago.
I think it was like a month ago.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was the beginning of September. It came out the same day as that last album, actually, September 6th.
Okay, sick. Holy shit, that's so dope. Yeah, I've just experienced so much life in the past month that I'm like, what is time?
No, I 100% get it.
But yeah, I'm gonna burp and it's really gross. I'm so sorry. But yeah, fantastic band. I love Fend. And yeah, I'm really excited to hear this song. It's great.
I don't feel like being him anymore. Feeling burnt out to my very core. My capacity for explaining is on the floor. Say goodbye to the boy you knew. 'Cause I don't feel like being him anymore. Feeling burnt out to my very core. My capacity for explaining is on the floor. Say goodbye to the boy you knew before. 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 Say goodbye to the boy getting better. Fake a smile, never getting better. Wait a while, never getting better. Fake a smile, never getting better.
So sick.
Woo!
Yeah, and that's like their most straightforward song, which is crazy because like that song is like I like the part before the breakdown was in like 7/4. You know, it's like
Yeah.
it's crazy stuff. Absolutely incredible band. Very hard to mosh to. Very hard to mosh to.
As soon as you kind of get into a groove, they're just onto something else.
Yeah, exactly. And that was really fun. That was a really great show. There was like, you know, obviously like a push pit for the faster songs, and then
Yeah.
there was one motherfucker who was crowd killing, which was so fucking awesome. It was so sick. Crowd killing to the like. I was joking with Abe before the show, like, should I crowd kill? But then there was like some guy who was actually doing it, which was so awesome. I fucked with it so heavy.
That's crazy.
Shout out Fend. Shout out Disc, which was the album that came out on. Very new and very incredible. Everyone loves Disc. It's just a fact. Everyone in the world loves Disc.
It is a great album.
It's so
it's one of those things. I find this type of music really interesting because it has these really catchy parts, but it also like that ending bit is like so just like almost beat down hardcore like type shit.
Yeah.
Where it's just that one riff over and over and over, and you're like, all right, I get what's going on. But then there's also like the crazy like poppy type stuff. They got the little like synths in the chorus and all that. Like that's something that I absolutely love about like the modern state of music is that you can put all of these things together and nobody really like bats an eye at it and like thinks it's weird. You know what I mean?
Right.
You can do this heavy section and then you can do like a really catchy section, and it's not like I feel like you first started seeing that kind of stuff with like, you know, metalcore and like that kind of stuff where it was like, you know, very anthemic chorus and then like crazy heavy like verses and breakdowns and stuff. I feel like we're getting away from that and getting more to like a very poppy song that just happens to have heavy elements to it.
Yeah.
Which I think is kind of more interesting to me at this point because it mixes everything together instead of feeling like it's like, all right, left turn to this, right turn to this.
Yes,
you know, like,
I agree.
I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, it is really interesting, and I love it. I love when musics have crazy left turns. I love music so much. Musics are great.
I am a big fan of the musics.
Yeah. Shout out music. Shout out Fend. Incredible band. Hell yeah.
All right. So my next song is another one that is currently unreleased, but it will be released by the time the episode comes out. This is from Denver emo band Buddy Bench. So they are kind of like a Midwest emo type of band. They have a new EP. Their debut EP is called Dibs on First Rips, and it's coming out on October 11th. They released the first two singles to this, which I believe had different mixes at the time of release, really late last year and really early this year. I believe, it was November of 2023 and then January of 2024. Then they've been spending the rest of this year kind of shoring everything up, making sure that their debut EP is like as good as it can be for when it comes out. This is an EP cut. This wasn't a single, and it's called The Observer. God, that shit is so good.
That was so. There was a lot of theory going on, I feel like, in that song.
Dude, it is so, like, it's easy to, like, nod along to, but it's also, like, if you try and count what's going on, there's a lot of, like, I think there's parts that are in 3, there's parts that are in 5, there's very little
I heard a
that's
part
in
in
4.
9. Yeah, I heard a part in 9, too.
Yeah,
Like, that was,
yeah.
that was...
I think that was,
yes.
yeah, that was in 9, yeah.
I feel like this band has like a... Someone in this band has a theater background. Because to me, like, a lot of these, as someone who was in theater, a lot of a lot of parts in that song, I'm just like, that sounds like it could be in a play. Like that was really sick. That was really dope. I really liked that.
That was one of the things. They sent me a demo of, I think it was a different song, but it also had like some crazy time signature shit going on. And I was like, man, this was crazy. It was like kind of hard to follow, but I loved it. And they're like, yeah, putting that college level music education to work right there.
That's fucking awesome. Yeah, that was so sick. I liked how it didn't get big until it needed to be. You know what I mean? Like, it was like really like, oh, it's gonna get big yet? Nope. How about now? Nope. And then like when it finally does, it was like, that was so sick.
I feel like that's very emblematic in the drums too, because like it starts out and it's like you've got this really complex, you know, Midwest emo-y type riff, but the drums are pretty straightforward. It's almost like a halftime feel type of deal. Like it's really laid back. But then near the end, like he just starts going crazy with like the different like fills and stuff like that, and especially going between like the time signatures, and it almost turns into like a cacophony for a second. You're like, I don't know what's going on. And like that build is incredible to me.
Yeah, like that. Oh, that it was so sick. Also, like in the second verse, I think it was like the drums are doing this really like it was like very quiet, but it was like they were like doing some like crazy like symbol like it was sick. It was really sick. Yeah, that was really fucking. I also need to check out more of that band because that was really good.
Yes. So this EP again comes out October 11th, and another fun thing to note about this song particularly is the backing vocals, the really lush, huge harmony backing vocals. Those were done by 95 Corolla's own Christy, featured on this song, doing those backing vocals. I guess he wrote all the harmonies and everything too. That's something that he seems like he knows really well, is how to create these really lush, rich vocal harmonies.
That's sick. That was the first thing that stuck out to me was those oohs and ahs. Like there's a part where it's like they kind of like do like a diminished kind of thing.
Yeah.
And you're like, whoa, like that's really sick.
Again, kind of getting more into like that like music nerd, music theory type shit, where you're like, oh, this is really interesting. Like I never would have come up with those harmonies for that part that way. Like it's so interesting, and it's got this really lush, atmospheric, kind of cloudy type of sound to it, where it's like it sits like a mist over top of everything. It envelops everything, but it doesn't like take over. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That was hella sick.
So I very much looking forward to this project coming out. I've been listening to it offline quite a bit, so very excited for it to come out. Yes,
I get to hear it in 10 days. I'm excited. Oh yeah, that was so sick. Hell yeah.
All right, what do we have up next?
We have Heart to Gold up next.
All right.
Which Heart to Gold song did I pick?
You had Get It Back.
Get It Back. Okay. So Heart to Gold are a trio from Minneapolis, I believe, or St. Paul, somewhere in the Twin Cities.
Somewhere around there.
And somewhere around there, yeah. I don't know if you have had any exposure to Heart to Gold yet.
I saw them at Excellency this year. They played the main stage.
Sick. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Great band. Incredible band.
Absolutely killer.
I saw them for the first time at Burn Bright MKE. We played there with them, and they're very cool. They're very like laid back, you know. They're very like just like chill, quiet, funny homies, which is crazy because like their music is like they were like I think one of the loudest bands at Burn Bright MKE. I don't know if you had the same experience at Excellency, but they were loud. Like it was sick, and it was just crazy because it's only 3 of them. And it was so cool that they were able to accomplish such a crazy fucking in-your-face loud sound. And so they are coming out with a record. I don't know when. but this is one of 3 singles I think they've released leading up to the album. I could be getting some info wrong there, but yeah, it's really sick, and I'm really excited for their album. These singles that they've been teasing it with have been peak Heart to Gold, so I'm really excited about it. So good.
Oh yeah,
so
dude.
good.
I think that this is my first time listening to any of their recorded stuff. Like I said, I saw them at Excellency, and I remember thinking that they were really good, but it was I never went and like listened to any of their like recorded stuff. So this is absolutely incredible.
Yeah, I know, right? Like everything about it is just right. Like every riff, you're like that belongs there, you know, like, oh, it's so good. And
it's an interesting like mix of sounds to me.
Yeah,
because it's kind of got this like poppy kind of thing going on,
right?
But it's also like really like straightforward. To me, it almost sounds like Origami Angel meets like Glow On era Turnstile.
Yeah,
in a way.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I hear that a little bit. Yeah, and also like, yeah, especially like when they have like those like kind of like psychedelic like like that kind of thing in the guitar riff,
yeah,
like in that bridge and shit too. Like, yeah, that was that's really sick. And like that, it's, I really appreciate how they don't hang out on that riff for too long. Because like, personally, I would love to hear more of that riff, but they play it just enough to where you're like, the next time it comes in, you're like, oh shit, there's that part again. Like
it's back. Yeah.
It's sick. It's so sick. And Grant's vocals, holy shit. They're so energetic. Like you can tell that like the energy comes through, I think, really well.
That's one of the things that I really like about this too, is that it is very loud type of stuff, but they're a 3-piece that arranges their music like a 3-piece.
Yes.
It's very clearly there's one guitar riff going on, there's one bass part, and then there's the drum part. And it's not super complex, but there's like something about that like simplicity that you're able to just like absolutely crank everything to 11.
Yes.
And it just goes absolutely bonkers, and I love it. I think it's great.
Hell fucking yes. Yeah, I love Heart to Gold so much. Shout out Heart to Gold. Be on the lookout for their new record. It's going to be fantastic. All the singles have been great, so everyone go listen to those. Yeah, shout out Heart to Gold.
Yeah, I was trying to snoop around on their social media to see if I could find any sort of release date or anything, but it's all been about the singles so far. There's no official announcement of the album.
Maybe I just made that up. I don't know. They could just be dropping singles. I thought for some of them they coming out with a record.
I'd be into it.
Yeah, right. Either way, like, hell yeah.
All right. So my final song of the morning, because it is still morning at this point. This is a more like old school kind of hardcore type of band. They're called Sunstreak. They're from Nashville, Tennessee. And I found them because this is their debut EP, and it was released to tape through Outcast Tape Infirmary. Who do absolutely incredible stuff. They span a lot of different like styles, but like the heavy stuff that they've been putting out recently, they put out a band called Soul Sacrifice, which are kind of like more old school style like metalcore. Back when it was like more metal and hardcore as opposed to like kind of the metalcore boom that kind of became like more pop mixed with metal, but then also has breakdowns. The old school style like metalcore. Yeah. But they've been doing some really cool stuff with a lot of really cool bands. Like I said, this is from Sunstreak's debut EP, A Hazardous Existence, which came out also on September 6th. A lot of this stuff all came out on the same day, which is really interesting.
Hell yeah.
And this song is called Cobwebs.
Science and for my human
I didn't realize you meant like old school. I didn't realize you meant like old, like that was like some suicidal tendencies type shit. Like that was sick.
Yeah, exactly. Like old school type of hardcore, which is so much fun.
It
just
is.
Like hearing that old, like, I think the production really matches it well too, because it's not super slick modern type stuff. This sounds of the era of like that old school style stuff, which I think is so cool.
That was really cool, and also like the vocals were so with that era too. Like the no, like that kind of delivery was like so common. I feel like back then, but not so much anymore. You know, and so like that was sick. That was really sick. And that they had like that groove switch out of nowhere. That like that like came after that triplet part. I was like, what the fuck? Like that was really sick.
I don't even know how to like follow that part because I was like, the accents almost don't line up. It's like controlled chaos because very clearly they are in the pocket together,
right?
But I don't know where the hell that pocket is.
It's like they went off of the metronome, but all together as a unit. You know, which I feel like is also like a thing they hear a lot with that sort of era of like earlier hardcore stuff too, is that like the bands are constantly falling apart together somehow, you know?
Yeah, it sounds like a live off the floor recording.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like they're playing to a click. It sounds like you put, 3 dudes in a room, set up some mics, and just fucking, went balls to the wall.
Yeah. That was sick. That was crazy how well they channeled that feeling of like, and that sound of like the early hardcore stuff. That was really fucking sick. Who did you say that was?
This is a band called Sunstreak. They're from Nashville, Tennessee. This is their first EP. They released 1 single before it. And another thing that I really like about it is vocally, you kind of talked about like that older kind of style of vocal delivery. I like how, I think they have 2 vocalists, and I like the way that they play off of each other.
Yes.
Where it's like one has kind of this thing, and then there's the more like Fry scream type
That's
of
what
like
I was
response
going to say. Like the more modern,
so cool.
like that's really sick. Yeah, we're kind of getting best of both worlds with that. I think it's really dope.
Yeah, it's like old school meets like a little bit of like more modern type stuff, like kind of together, and I think that's so neat.
Also, we need more 2 lead vocalist bands. I think we need more of those.
I think it's so, especially when they both do like kind of different kinds of harsh vocals. Yes. It just sounds like 2 dudes just screaming at each other. Like.
Yes, like that Blood Brothers type deal where like, oh, this is the one and this is the other one. It's really cool.
Yeah.
It's really sick.
Like, I'm imagining them playing live, sharing a microphone, just shouting in each other's faces type shit,
Yeah. That was really fucking awesome. Fuck yeah.
You're playing in a venue that doesn't have enough mics, so you just have to.
Oh, we've been there before.
Oh yeah. So how are we closing this off? What are we ending on? I hope we've got a.
This was my panic.
Got a very strong final.
This was my panic pick. Because for some reason I only had 4 prepared. Which one was this one?
You had Maybe That Truck Hit Me and This Is All a Dream.
Oh my God.
By Amway.
Okay, listen, like everyone knows Amway. Everyone loves Amway. Great band. The huge fucking homies. Everyone loves Double Bind. So we played with Amway even before About That Beer I Owed Ya came out. I think
Oh really?
Yeah, I think they had only had In the Test Chamber out, like the single version. And so like we had no idea who they were before we played with them. And we played with them in this church basement in Wisconsin. I think it was Madison. It might have been Milwaukee.
Somewhere around there. Because they are a Wisconsin band, I believe, right? Yeah.
And as soon as they started playing, like the fucking it was like a hardcore show. Like Kyle was shirtless. It was sweaty as fuck. Everyone was like moshing like crazy. Everyone knew the words to basically all of Amway's songs, which was crazy because they didn't have anything recorded yet. It was off the chain. And ever since that moment, I was like, what? So like we went on a tour with that band like not too long after that. And in June we went on a tour with Enswell, which shares Kyle of Amway. Mm-hmm. And we saw Amway at Coachella. I got to be on a song on Double Bind, which was really when Kyle asked me I was almost like brought to tears because I was so excited. Like, and
yeah, that side stage Coachella performance, that's the only time that I've seen them live, but that was absolutely
were you at that
insane
Coachella?
shit. Yeah, this past summer.
What?
Yeah, I was there.
That's so
Yeah.
sick. I had no idea. Oh, I would have said hello to you if I had known. But yeah, that was really awesome. Holy shit, that side stage Coachella show was I almost cried. Like it was intense. Like everyone was in it. Like there was just so much love packed into that room, and like everyone knew the words like every single song they had, and like the pit was crazy.
Side stage goes off, dude. Like no matter who was playing, because it was like, you know, I saw M-Way there. We saw Red Sun played, because I think it was back to back was Red Sun, M-Way, and Garden Home. Which was like such a crazy like string of bands to have back to back. The fucking Thumbs Up Records Power Hour.
So fucking dope. Yeah, that was
absolutely killer.
That was absolutely incredible. Yeah, incredible band. Y'all know it. Y'all love it. I believe Tyler from Stars Hollow is on this one. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I believe so.
Hell yeah. That's another thing I love about Double Bind is that they got like a bunch of homies on this album, and I really appreciate that. That's something that I want Hey Love You to do going forward, is get a fuck ton of homies to feature on some tracks. I think that would be incredible. But yeah,
that's something that I find interesting, is like feature culture, quote unquote. Is like I feel like we're getting to the point in like a lot of like pop and like hip hop type music where I feel like there's almost too many features. Like even the main artist, it's their song and they get a verse.
Yes!
They've got a feature for the chorus, they've got a feature for verse 2, they've got a feature for verse 3. So like I feel like that is kind of like has swung out too far.
Yes.
And needs to come back a little bit. But I think it's really cool, like in rock music and like DIY and like that kind of stuff, we're kind of starting to hit like what I think is like kind of the perfect threshold of features, where you have like a couple on an album that makes sense for that specific song.
Yep.
You're not trying to like pad out the feature list so that you're like, because I feel like that's a big part of it, is like you're trying to cast a wide net. You're like, oh, well, if somebody likes this, then they'll come to my song. If somebody likes that, then they'll come to my song.
Right.
I feel like feature culture for this type of music is a lot cooler, because it always feels like it is a song that makes sense for the vocalist to be on.
Right? Yeah, I agree. And I really want to dip my feet into that going forward. I want to dip our feet into that. I don't know. One thing I will say, though, is I just hate how it looks when there's like the song title and then in parentheses, feat the next artist. I hate that. I don't know why. I just hate that in song titles. So I really appreciate that, like, on like Spotify, at least, like, you can just like put, like, you know, it'll say like, excuse me, who are you?
It's almost like a co-release with the other artist.
And as opposed to it being in the song title, you know? Like, I really appreciate that. Because, I don't know, it just looks so ugly to me. I don't know. I've never been really into that. But yeah, M-Way.
I get it.
Shout out M-Way, Stars Hollow. Stars Hollow was a really fucking, like, big band, I think, for me and a bunch of my friends. And so, like, when we got to meet Stars Hollow, we were like, it was very cool. And when they got put on like it's actually kind of crazy because M-Way, I think in their earlier years, or I say earlier years as if they've been around for that long, they haven't. But they used to cover.
It's only been like 2 or 3 years. But
they used to cover a Stars Hollow song in their live set. I believe it was Tadpole that they used to cover. And so like when I saw that Tyler was on this song, I was like, fucking perfect. You know, that's awesome. That's so incredible. Yeah.
All right, let's go.
Let's go.
And all I wanna
so good. Legendary. I just want to say, Jackson's bass playing, holy shit. Like, I consider myself more of a bass player than anything else. I only play guitar because I only play guitar because it's like hard to write music on bass.
Sure.
Right. But I love like bass is my true love instrument, and so like every time I see Jackson, I'm like, oh, like it's so fucking sick. Such this band is full of incredible musicians. Truly.
One of the things that I think is kind of crazy is like you listen to the vocals of M-Way and you kind of think that it's going to be like a lot heavier than musically it is.
Right.
Which is interesting. Like the band is very groove based. Like if you remove the vocals from it, I don't think that you would think that was the type of vocal that would go on a song like this.
Yes.
Like it's heavy and it's kind of like this like mathcore like type of thing almost.
Right.
But like it's a very interesting combination of like that type of music with that type of vocal style, because it like that type of vocal style I always think of more like kind of hardcore like screamo, like heavier type shit. And this is almost like Midwest emo with like the screamo vocals on it. You know what I mean?
It makes it kind of hard to classify, doesn't it? Because I remember someone was like online on Twitter, they were like, yeah, you know, one of my favorite screamo bands is M-Way, and I was like, what? Like screamo? Like, I don't know. It's like it makes them hard to classify. Definitely. But
vocally, it's kind of in that range.
Yeah.
But like musically, not really.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like if they were just an instrumental band, like they would be called math rock, I feel like, for sure. But then like, you know, you get like these vocals on top of it and you're like, whoa. Yeah, it's like it's really sick. It's super dope.
And they groove crazy too. Like if you're paying attention to like the time feel of everything, like there's so much in the pocket type shit that like it's incredible.
But like that part in that song where the guitar starts doing the harmonic, like the do do do. I'm like, oh, it's literally so incredible. It's and this album is like full of that.
Yeah, and the other thing that I think is really interesting about them as a band too is that both of their projects that they've put out at this point have samples from a specific piece of media that kind of tie it together. They're not necessarily concept albums as far as like what the songs are about, but they use these samples to like create a world, because this one uses samples from what is it? Perfect Blue, I think is what it's called, which is an anime movie from the 90s that I still keep meaning to see. It's little aside, I found out that it's on Amazon Prime and I bought it. And then I found out that they only had the subbed version. And I specifically wanted to watch it in English because I wanted to hear the samples from the album. And so I'm like, I got to find a new way to find that. But they did the Perfect Blue samples in this one, which is also where they got Double Blind, the title, from as well. And then the first one, is that About a Beer I Owed You?
Yes.
Which is all Half-Life quotes, I believe.
Mm-hmm. And it's kind of sick too because like you're right, they're not really concept albums or anything, but it's kind of interesting because like sometimes the samples will like play into the song. Like in About That Beer I Owed Ya, they have that sample where they're like, so, about that beer I owed ya. And then it's like, I think about it all the time. And I like to imagine that like, they like kind of like, when Kyle says, I think about it all the time, they're talking about the beer that they owed that they owed this person.
Yeah.
You know, signifying their time with this person, you know. It's cool. It's really cool. It's really interesting. And the fact that they pull it off live is very cool too.
Yeah, I think they use like a sample pad or something like that for all that, which
they're so in tune with it.
Yeah, it's because it's built into the music. It's not like there are some people who will use like samples and stuff like that, but it's always at the beginning or always at the end of a song. And so it's like you play it live, you don't necessarily need that. It's almost like a transitionary like little thing. But like they kind of include it, they include these samples within the song as like a musical element. Like, the first track on this album is just called M-Way, and it's got the "Excuse me, who are you?" that just loops over and over, and that's like a part of the song. It's not like a little transition element. That is like a part of the song that continues to loop, and they like build stuff around it.
It's baked in. Yeah, it's so sick. It's so incredible. Yeah, incredible band, incredible homies. Stu's guitar playing, So good.
Killer.
So good. So sick. Yeah. Fucking love those homies. Record's great. It's fucking awesome.
Hell yeah. All right, so I think that's probably a good place to end the episode on. Do you have anything else that you want to say at the very end before we sign off?
At the end of interviews, I always like to shout out as many bands as I can, just in case anyone. So shout out all the bands that we played today. Every single song was fucking awesome. Shout out Lonely Ghost Records. Shout out, my brain's not working. It's too early to really think of any bands, but shout out the rest of my band members who could not be here today. And yeah, I hope that everyone has a pleasant October and hell yeah. Shout out Homie Fest.
Make sure to check out Hey I Love You's new album, Hey I Loathe You, coming out on October 25th. And this has been the Fresh Finds Podcast, the show about discovering new music with good people. Fresh.